Law and ethics. UPSC has asked question thrice, 3 times in the past. In my subsequent lectures, I will be discussing about those questions. Law and ethics can have 3 pattern of relationship. That is important part we are doing here. Write down number A. What is moral? That is law. What is moral? That is law. Second, law may contradict morality. Number C, law and morality are complementary. In this case, second case, we have moral dilemmas. Okay. There may be one confusion regarding ethics and morality, number one. Number two, when I say right and wrong, how can we say some right to be moral and some right to be not to be moral but legal only? There may be this confusion, but I'll be making this clear later on. First, understand this point. Law and ethics can have 3 patterns of relationship. What is moral? That is law. This pattern number 1, we are taking here. When I say what is moral, that is law. This means an idea comes into law book because it has been experienced by humanity that it is moral, or something which is right or morally good, that only finds its place in the law. There are various theories of state. Means, first of all, this statement's meaning that something which is moral will find its place in law book. When we talk about moral, there will be term right, good. This thing right and good difference, it will be clear later on. Right is concerned with means, good is concerned with end. Right concerned with process, action, medium, and good is something as outcome, goal, end, etc. Okay. So moral is something which is right or something which is good is moral. So something which is right or something good, that only finds place in the law book. And who's right from the perspective of the people, subjects, humans. And not just a democracy. It's not about, this idea is not about just democracy. This was true for the monarchical governments also. And we have various theories concerning this, like Kautilya's Matsya Nyaya episode. Kautilya in Matsya Nyaya episode says that there was a Matsya Nyaya. Matsya Nyaya means law of fish. What is law of fish? Matsya Nyaya means law of fish or justice by fish. Big fish swallow the small fish. बड़ी मछली छोटी मछली को निगल जाती है, खा जाती है. Kind of anarchy when the powerful people engulf others. Powerful people suppress others. Powerful people exploit others, kill others, snatch from others. So when powerful people snatch others, there is no law, there is no rules existing. We call it anarchy. Matsya Nyaya, this word Matsya Nyaya, it symbolizes, or law of fish symbolizes anarchy. He says there was Matsya Nyaya prevailing all over, everywhere. People approached Manu. People went to Manu when this Matsya Nyaya was there. People went to Manu, said, "Oh Lord, come rule over us. Bring peace, prosperity, happiness. And we are ready to pay you tribute. We'll pay you tax. You come, you rule. Bring peace, prosperity, happiness. And we are ready to pay you tribute." That means state was not created. Kautilya says state was not created. His idea is concerning creation of state. State was not created for king. It was created for subject. State created for subject. Peace, prosperity, happiness. And state function through, how state function? So state has twin pillars. State has two pillars. One law, second power. Two pillars on which the state rests is law and power. So if the state is for the good of the subject, well-being of the subject, happiness of the subject, prosperity of the subject, how can it be wrong? How can law be wrong? So something which is going to bring peace, prosperity, happiness for the overall good, that will always be moral. The state is for moral purpose. It means state is for moral purpose. Same thing, not just Kautilya, same thing was said by scholars like Rousseau. Rousseau, Rousseau. Rousseau, the French philosopher. So Rousseau suggested social contract. His statements were, man is born free, but everywhere he is in chains. Or man surrender their rights. Man surrendered their rights to create a state. People surrendered their right to create a state. It's a contract between the ruling class and the ruled. So people surrendered rights. Why? Because they should have certain rights which is significant for living. And they are being slaved by others. Enslaving of the humans are being done. So man is born free, but everywhere he is in chains, he writes. So here Rousseau or scholar like Montesquieu, you can write about Montesquieu's theory on state, or natural right given by John Locke, or you can write Thomas Hobbes, who says state of nature, state of sovereignty. Thomas Hobbes idea, Hobbes, Hobbes idea, state of nature, state of sovereignty. In all these cases, you find the state is there for moral purpose. State is there for moral purpose. Means state is existing for moral purpose. Okay. Cotilia's idea mat sine aaye, or social contract by Rousseau, Hobbes, or rights theory given by John Locke, Montesquieu separation of power, they all suggest that state is there for moral purpose. It means state, if there for moral purpose, what is moral, it will be brought by state in law as a law. Why? Because state is there with the help of two pillars, law and power. Law is one of the pillars of the state. So if a state has morality as its purpose, law will have morality as its purpose. Therefore, what is moral, that is law. So this pattern one is principally existing pattern. In principle, this pattern exists. And that is why every constitution must have moral components. Then the idea of, there is emergence of idea of constitutional morality. What is constitutional morality? Then we have to discuss. Okay. So pattern number one, what is moral, that is law, and related to this is the idea of constitutional morality. Two streams are there in constitutional morality. What is constitutional morality? Question has been asked by UPSC. One day I will pick question after 2-3 lectures. I'll pick questions and discuss with you previous year questions. We'll try to understand how far we are able to write those answers. So constitutional morality has two streams, two thoughts. We are discussing in the context of Indian Constitution. Constitution of India first is a moral document. First aspect. an action or law is moral if it follows or achieves the spirit of the Constitution. This one dimension, Constitution of India, is a moral document. In this dimension, when we are studying constitutional morality, we are studying two streams, two dimensions we are studying. So constitutional morality can have two components, two streams. One stream is Constitution of India is a moral document, means what moral principles, yeah, what moral components are there, what moral provisions are there in Indian Constitution. For example, we talk about fundamental rights, right to equality. Their existence of absence of or abolition of untouchability, or children below 14 years should not be employed in hazardous employment, or so many fundamental rights are there. They are moral documents. I'll give you a list of them. Anti-defection law, schedule 10, moral component. It tries to do away with the practice of shifting from one party to another or jump the ship in search for power, in search for post position. MLAs used to leave one party, maybe Congress, BJP, and joining other parties so that they will give birth, ministers birth. To prevent this, concept was brought. Anti-defection law, schedule 10, 52nd Constitutional Amendment Act. So schedule 10 or fundamental rights or DPSP, various provisions are there, or Panchayati Raj System, 73rd, 74th Constitutional Amendment Act. These we will list that how Indian Constitution is a living moral document. It's a living moral document. We'll discuss about it. But second dimension of this constitutional morality is following of the spirit of the Constitution. From the point of view of the government or from the point of view of the civil servants, an action is moral, a law is moral if it achieves the spirit of the Constitution. And what is the spirit of the Constitution? For example, we talk about basic feature. That spirit was given by basic feature. Judiciary's comment on basic feature. They say federalism is a basic feature. But we have seen in practice that federalism has not been executed in its spirit. There has been misuse of power of governor by central government. Governor tries to intervene into state government's activities, actions, and playing party politics in favor of center. There has been misuse of Article 356. President's rule have been imposed in our country, in states, without any reason. So emergency to post-emergency period, there were 18 times 356 article misused within a span of 5 years only. So just in the name of constitutional machinery breakdown from here and there, the 356 or president's rules imposition. Even emergency by Indira Gandhi was misuse of the Article 352's power. Constitution was amended to bring word internal disturbance in place of armed rebellion. Or there can be spirit of constitution in various ways. Like our constitution talks about parliamentary democracy, cabinet model. And we have seen that just before this government, present government, that coalition government of BJP. Before that, there was UPA government. And UPA government was the government of Manmohan Singh. So Prime Minister's constitutional position was used by Sonia Gandhi. He was just the virtual head, real head was Sonia Gandhi. Number two, during that period, empowered group of ministers were created. EGOM was created. Empowered group of ministers, EGOM was created. And matters were not brought before cabinet. Empowered groups of ministers used to clear the matter. Cabinet was just a signatory authority. Final decision was taken. During Indira Gandhi, Council of Ministers was not performing. Its its power was taken by Prime Minister's house, kitchen cabinet. We have a cabinet government, cabinet model. Constitution wants a parliamentary form of government of Westminster type. That means cabinet type. But what was done? Indira Gandhi's period, cabinet was not making decision. Sanjay Gandhi and his friends, Priyaranjan Das Munshi, or Ambika Soni, or some other Dehradun Brigade people, even Pupul Jaikar or Sam Pitroda, they used to take decision from Prime Minister's house. Cabinet was ignored. Even emergency was imposed by Miss Gandhi. No cabinet approval was there. Fakhruddin Ali Ahmad, when asked the President of India on 24th of June, and the imposition 1975, when the imposition of emergency was brought by Gandhi, Miss Gandhi said that this is an order, you proclaim it. He asked that, has cabinet been informed? She said, they will be informed tomorrow. So what constitution wants? A cabinet form of government. What constitution wants? A parliamentary form of government. What constitution wants? A federalism, idea of federalism. When the spirit is not executed in practice, so it is a violation of constitutional morality, means it is constitutionally not moral. So constitutionally moral action, constitutionally moral action is that action which achieves the spirit of the Constitution. They are following law, but not following the spirit. Then it is constitutional morality's question. So question of constitutional morality arises against courts also. Courts in India don't want to be accountable. Collegium system too much controversial. My lord judges say justice should not only be done, it should be seen to be done. So there is a same principle applies on them also, my lord judges, that the neutrality should not only be there, it should be seen to be there. When there is a collegium, it is not seen. So constitutional morality missing in that case. So what here in first pattern of relationship, law and morality, what is moral, that is law, and within that we have discussed about constitutional morality. Constitutional morality has two dimensions. These two dimensions are very important. UPSC has asked question from constitutional morality. One dimension, the elements or provisions in the constitution which makes it moral. So what are these elements? I'll be making a list, you can write in the answer. And second, examining the action of law of the government from the perspective of constitution's spirit. So something which is as per the law of, as per the spirit of the constitution, follows or achieve the spirit of constitution, that is constitutionally moral. Okay, this part is clear. Now I will be listing moral components oblique provisions in Indian Constitution. Number one, preamble. How preamble? It talks about justice, liberty, equality, fundamental rights. You can mention about very sensitive fundamental rights. Right to equality, especially in the context of women. Abolition of untouchability, Article 17. And then prohibition of big forced labor. Then prohibition of child labor in hazardous employment. Then DPSP, equal pay for equal work. Education to child, village panchayat, workers' participation in industries, workers' participation in industries, provisions concerning, in DPSP we have provisions concerning the protection of environment or domesticated animals, cottage industry. These are also moral points. In DPSP we have these moral points. So moral components in Constitution, preamble, fundamental right. Number 3 is DPSP. Number 4, we have local governments. Local governments, 73rd, इसको PRIs we can write, 73rd and 74th Constitutional Amendment Act, 1992. What moral elements are there here? Number A, 1/3 reservation to women, reservation to SC, ST, including women SC, ST. This has been called by scholar as silent social revolution. Silent social revolution. Or you can write from this, village parliament preventing exploitation, right to self-rule at the village level. Then we have anti-defection law. Or Schedule 10. It's a kind of moral electoral reform. This is a kind of moral electoral reform. Even recently cooperatives have been added. So inclusion of cooperatives is also a moral decision. You can't write too much, but a list I have given to you. Okay. Written. So we have discussed about here. Again, I'm recapping. Law and ethics, when we are discussing what is moral, that is law. Three patterns of relationship existing, I said. First pattern, what is moral, that is law. Second pattern, law may contradict morality. And third pattern, law and morality are complementary. So pattern number one, I discussed completely. What is moral, that is law. I discussed about various theories of state also, which can be written to justify in principle how a state is for moral purpose or in principle how law is for moral purpose. Okay. So this we discussed, and then we discussed constitutional morality means constitution needs morality because the state has a moral purpose. Almost all state theories talk about the state for moral purpose, moral objective. So every constitution must have moral components. Now what about India? In Indian constitution, we talk about constitutional morality, then two dimensions we picked. So what moral provisions are there in Indian constitution? This part we discussed. And second part, I discussed that an action or law is constitutionally moral if it achieves or follows the spirit of the constitution. For example, I given you example, the federalism is the spirit of the constitution. Federalism as a spirit existing, but government used the same provisions of constitution to distort the idea of federalism. Misuse of power of governor, misuse of article 356. Similarly, our constitution talks about cabinet form of government. But we have seen that drifting away from the cabinet model during Indira Gandhi's period. Rise of the Prime Minister's house, rise of kitchen cabinet, or during Manmohan Singh's government, rise of empowered group of ministers. Or constitution talks about socialism, socialistic society. But we are going towards marketization, capitalism. This is also violation of the principles of constitutional morality. Sorry. Clear? So constitutional morality is clear. Now we come to second pattern of relationship of law with ethics. Law may contradict morality. Law may contradict morality. In principle, at the level of execution. It's not like there is a theory that state is for moral purpose. But can we say it is true for dictators period? Ravana used to exist. Kans was there. Duryodhana ruled for some period. Or Hitler's rule in modern period. Can we say dictatorial government to be a moral government? So it is possible that some state or some law, principally it is immoral. Like first part we say, example number one, the dictatorial autocratic rule. First, in principle it is contradicting morality. Number one. So many examples are there. We have Kans in ancient period, Duryodhana's rule, ancient period, or the medieval period. We have certain rulers like Aurangzeb's rule we talk about, or Firoz Shah Tughlaq's rule we talk about, or in modern period we talk about Hitler, Mussolini's government, Pol Pot in Thailand, sorry, Cambodia. So dictatorial autocratic rule, number one. Number two, British rule in India. So many British laws were there. Principally, they were contradictory to morality. And some exceptional laws in present democratic government. Law here means law rules both. This one, this example we can say here, suppose taxing or licensing, taxing the tobacco. On the one hand, government claims or makes people, the producers or manufacturers or distributors, write on the cigarettes level that cancer kills, tobacco causes cancer. So tobacco kills or tobacco causes cancer, right on the label. On the other hand, government is collecting tax from tobacco, giving license to people to make production. Government has two arguments. Number one, if they ban tobacco production and sale, cigarette production sale, BD production sale, it will be huge loss to exchequer of the government, number one. Number two, government says that a large number of people will get unemployed if the tobacco sale, tobacco related products manufacturing is banned. Isn't it seems to be contradiction of the moral principle that if tobacco really kills, then why taxing tobacco? Why giving license on tobacco? The argument that brings huge revenue means for the purpose of revenue, should government kill people or bring people on the verge of death through cancer just for sake of revenue? And if it is causing loss to employment, why not government searching for alternative employment? If there is a flood, if there is a famine, it's objective of government, it's the duty of government to rehabilitate people. If some industry which can cause death of people, it's harmful, regular advertisement expenditure government is incurring on them, then why not government is banning tobacco and labors of the tobacco industry shifting to some other form of employment? Creation of employment is the duty of the government. Creation of the alternative employment is the duty of the government. Searching for innovative ways to rehabilitate people from one employment to another is duty of the government. So taxing tobacco, giving license for tobacco is what? It's in principle, this is, here the law contradicts morality. It's a kind of hypocrisy. Same thing is true for the firecrackers. Firecracker industry, same thing. So you can write 1-2 example to conclude this. In principle, there is the possibility of the law may contradict the morality. At the level of execution also it is possible. Execution, when the law is executed, it is executed with the help of rules. So these rules, how how a particular rule or rules contradicts morality, I will discuss in my next class. So today's recap, what we have done today's lecture, I discussed about the effects of human action, number one. This you have to write in various types of questions, answer indirectly. Okay. Idea of moral responsibility and why moral responsibility declining. One point I discussed. Moral orientation is a concept I discussed. Concept of right and how right is governed by various law, divine law, nature's law, nation's law, cultural law. When right is not sufficient, we have good as an idea, I discussed. Then we discussed law and morality, pattern of relationship. First one I did completely. Second one I did have done partially. In my next lecture, I will be continuing with this law may contradict morality. Today was the first lecture. With the passage of time, the lecture will become more faster. I will try to explain, make you understand how to utilize these components I will be suggesting with the passage of time. We will have case studies discussion based on theory parts also. And I hope you are getting my points. If you have any query, you can ask. If you have any question, you can ask. Okay. So, yeah, previous year questions will be covered in this lecture. PYQ will be covered. We'll discuss about PYQ, previous year questions. The course will cover the previous year question plus the new topics to be discussed. Okay, Shivam. See you in the next class.